Methamphetamine ain't supposed to be in hibachi. I said ain't supposed to be because we know that shouldn't happen, and we place the utmost trust in restaurants and folks who serve us food to make sure that it's safe to eat.
I really don't think anybody can argue the point he just made. Meth does not belong in hibachi, but apparently an unknown assailant at the Nikko Japanese Steak House in Pace, Florida, does not agree with him, as 7 victims who all dined together at the same table on June 9th later tested positive for methamphetamine, and they all believe that they were poisoned. One woman, Jordan Gray, described her symptoms here.
We placed a to-go order to bring back home, and then we got our leftovers in takeout. It wasn't until later that evening that we realized something was wrong, and even into the next morning, none of us slept. All of us had racing hearts. It was very scary the next morning. My husband had reached out to a friend of ours who is a cop in Santa Rosa County and told him that, it was occurring to all 3 of us. The only common thing was that we had dinner together. And what I realized now was complete paranoia. My daughter, my 9-year-old, has an iPhone and her location's on there. And I probably checked her location 20-something times while laying in bed.
Now, the woman soon realized that her family was not alone when they showed up at the hospital and ran into the other diners who had been sitting at their table. Now, KRCG 13 covered the story and reported that the family of 4 then took themselves to Santa Rosa Hospital and told deputies they eventually saw the 3 others that sat at their hibachi table also arrive. All 7 tests came back positive for methamphetamine, according to a report. Now, staff at the Nikko Hibachi Grill say that an unemployed man was seen repeatedly entering the kitchen that same night, dressed as a chef. And this was the night that the 7 patrons were drugged at the restaurant. And some staff members told sheriffs that before the unemployed man was asked to leave the restaurant, he visited the kitchen several times. And apparently this unknown man had recently been let go from his job at a nearby sushi restaurant. KRCG 13, the manager of the sushi restaurant said the man allegedly quit, told deputies in a report that the man was always moving fast and would talk to himself on occasion. She also claimed the man would talk about being on medicine and would get mad when people brought it up. Now, they were insinuating that this man was the person responsible, although I think getting upset if you mentioned being on medicine and having your coworkers pry into your private medical history, anyone would reasonably be upset about that. And recently we've heard that the employees don't think anymore that it was this man. Wanted to give you all the facts on this case. But according to the police, doesn't matter who did it. Could be that man, could be another actual person who's still employed at the restaurant. They don't care. They're not gonna do anything. From ABC3, the sheriff's office said due to the lack of eyewitnesses, observance, and surveillance footage, they are unable to determine if any person associated with the restaurant contaminated the food consumed by the patrons. The sheriff's office says the case has since been closed and no criminal charges will be pursued, and the restaurant's now reopened. Just reopen so that the person who did it can do it again. And this is despite a preponderance of the evidence. Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office says the family of 4 also had leftovers from the restaurant, which tested positive for methamphetamine. Now, a key component in the mystery here is the soy sauce bottles, because according to one victim, the chef acted suspicious about the soy sauce and insisted they should eat it every day.
Everything was fairly normal at the dinner, other than some comments regarding the soy sauce being a sweet soy sauce. After that, we had asked that we got a little bit of a lecture from the chef on how healthy soy sauce is for you, particularly that you should take it like once a day.
And apparently it wasn't just that the chef was acting weird about the soy sauce. The soy sauce itself looked weird. KRCG, one of the 3 people who showed up at the hospital, later spoke with deputies and said the chef was using 2 different soy sauce bottles, one of which he said contained soy sauce thicker than the other. The same man told deputies that one of the women at the table asked the chef about the soy sauce, but he ignored her. 2 of the soy sauce bottles tested presumptive positive for methamphetamine, according to a report. And yet, despite all of this, we have this headline: SRSO won't pursue charges in Nikko Japanese Steak House meth case due to a lack of evidence. And this has been a ride, but the ride is not ending here, folks, because there's more.
What?
A former chef says he knows who poisoned the food and that it's his roommate. A former Nikko Japanese Steak House chef who says he lives with the employee thought to have tainted the patron's food reached out to the SRSO about having information on who poisoned the families. Former chef also said his friend still employed at the restaurant told him the suspect laughed about this incident happening and said they deserved it and didn't care what happened because he was leaving the state. I mean, Dan, we talk about police incompetence all the time. Everyone is saying, hey, this guy did it. This guy's like, I did it. And I don't care what happens to them. I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. I mean, it's literally just like, we can't be bothered.
It's the progressive DAs, as you know, being all like law and legal related and such. Like it's just the police are handcuffing themselves. They're in fuzzy handcuffs and they're just saying, "Daddy, I'm sorry, we can't do anything to help. Please help us. We're just so helpless. Please, Daddy, give us a couple, 2, 3, 4 million more dollars in the police budget. Make us 50% of your budget, Daddy." Someone please gift that and ruin my career with that. But like this happens everywhere when they're complaining about crimes and all these other different things and all these other different places, that it's, oh, if we just had more police, they were just able to solve these different things. But it's even a running joke out here in California, especially in the Bay Area in San Francisco. People will just go, oh, you got robbed or whatever. Oh, don't even bother going to the police because they're not gonna do anything about it. They won't even take a police report. It's the point where you have to start to wonder what is all this money that is going to police actually doing for these places. And sometimes you just get ridiculous situations like this where you have so much evidence. You wonder, okay, can you at least do this? Can you at least do this? That is such a ride of a story. And I have some qualms with one woman's descriptions of the reactions to meth and the soy sauce, but I'll just keep this to myself.